Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. What a weekend! What a weekend! After this weekend, the uh, the marvelous performance at the Super Bowl, and the introduction to the world. I kind of see tables turning, really, with respect to foundational Black Americans. Not that we need validation; we don't need it. Um, but the Super Bowl, Kendrick Lamar performing at the Super Bowl in a way kind of put a mark of validation on our movement. Again, we didn't need it, but it doesn't hurt, right? Um, what I was reminded this weekend was that all movements, anything powerful, starts very small in the dark. The life, every living soul on this page in my space right now, in our space, we started out as a little bitty spark in the darkness, and we grew into human beings. A nuclear weapon starts with an atom you can't see in the darkness. This sparks a reaction. Well, why am I saying it? I'm saying that because foundational Black Americans have done little bitty things in the dark, just deciding upon our name and deciding what we will not tolerate. And as above, so below, we are coming into the light, which is very interesting. So today's topic was partially inspired by this weekend. It was inspired because I began to wonder why we support celebrities, certain celebrities who are crashing out. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Why do we continue to support these people? I asked one of my colleagues, why do we keep supporting these people? And it was brought to my attention that our self-esteem may have been damaged during the transatlantic slave trade, um, and we tend to attempt to live vicariously through celebrities. Um, you know, and we turn a blind eye to uh, celebrity misbehavior and cultural abandonment. In my theory, is due to low self-esteem that may have been damaged during the transatlantic slave trade. So, what the purpose of this space is to test that theory. I want to test the theory because I don't know everything. It's just a theory, so we're going to test it today. We had a poll, and most of you did agree in the affirmative that celebrities are not beneficial to FBA culture. So the question is, did slavery hurt FBA self-esteem? And do FBA celebrities protect or harm FBAs? Um, that's the question. So let's deal with this. Did slavery hurt FBA self-esteem? So before we even get into that, I'm breaking out some brand new scholarship today. We're gonna look at John G. Jackson. I'm breaking out some John G. Jackson on that ass. Um, and we're gonna talk about the slave. We're gonna talk about the slave trade from John G. Jackson. According to John G. Jackson, quote, "The story of the African slave trade is essentially the story of the consequences of the second rise of Europe. In the years between the passing of the Roman Empire in the 8th century and the partial unification of Europe through the framework of the Catholic Church in the 15th century, Europeans were engaged mainly in the internal matters within their own continent. With the opening of the New World after the expulsion of the Moors from Spain during the latter part of the 15th century, the Europeans started to expand beyond their homeland. They were searching for new markets and materials, new manpower, and new lands to exploit. The African slave trade was created to accommodate this new expansion. Had there been no market for slaves, there would have been no slave trade. The market and motive were the opening of the New World and the creation of the vast plantation system that followed. Lastly, quote, "The slave trade had far reaching repercussions that are accurately apparent today. In fact, there is no way to understand the social, political, and cultural history of Black Americans without understanding what happened before and after the slave trade." Ladies and gentlemen, we gave Europe a second chance. That's where racism comes from. is resentment. The Europeans are quote unquote white people, although that's a misnomer. They are damn well aware that they would still be in the slums of Europe, but for us. There's resentment, there's jealousy, and there is fear behind that. But I'm not talking about Europeans today. I'm talking about us. What effect did that degradation have on our psyche? Well, Dr. Claude Anderson gives us a little hint of it in Black Labor, White Wealth. I'm bringing the scholarship today. Dr. Claude Anderson says, quote, dropped the book. Dr. Anderson says that slaves were intentionally kept without hope. I'm going to say that shit one more again. According to Dr. Claude Anderson, slaves were intentionally kept without hope. A slave's life was committed to producing wealth and comfort for white masters. The slaves suffered in silence, and there it is. There goes that self esteem issue. We were intentionally kept without hope. And bam, there goes the need for celebrity in the foundational Black arena. They give us hope. We live vicariously through them. Oprah didn't have $1 million, $1 billion. Child, we got $1 billion. If Oprah got it, we got it. Michael Jordan didn't win a championship. Michael Jordan becomes an avatar for all Black men, like me when I was in middle school. I was Michael Jordan. Matter of fact, the press the Madison Avenue, the media machine, the advertisement machine played on that psychology. I want to be like Mike. I wanted to be like Mike. Why not? He's me. I'm him. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be a ball player. Not. That is, ladies and gentlemen, I worked on a congressional grant, a congressional study of COVID-19. And guess what I was on the study? I was basically an ad hoc psychologist that used extrinsic and intrinsic motivation to make people to find out what made people take that vaccine, that COVID-19 vaccine that we'll talk about at a later date. Well, I figured I know a little bit about this stuff, and you can use motivational factors to make people do something that they wouldn't normally do. You just need somebody that everybody will follow. You need a celebrity. You need a Michael Jordan. You need a Oprah Winfrey to get people to follow a protocol. But the question is, do these people protect or harm us? Did Michael Jordan protect or harm foundational Black Americans? Did Oprah Winfrey, does she protect or harm foundational Black Americans? That's the question. Wani, do Black celebrities protect or harm foundational Black Americans?
They harm.
How
Yeah.
so?
Well, they make it look like we're all millionaires. Um, they all of a sudden pivot from I'm on your side to I'm not on your side very abruptly after we build them up. And they give the impression that we're doing well, and a lot of segments of our society are perceived as doing better than we are based
Preach.
on somebody like an Oprah or a Michael Jordan or a Michael Jackson. And then a lot of people pivot away from the cause of Black Americans. We still have that same cause. Just because they got wealthy doesn't mean it went away. And for the most part, I could, say 90% of people that have gained a level of celebrity seem to, neglect the rest of the group. I mean, we get more charity from people that are not Black celebrities, which is very strange. Some of the things that I'm trying to do, Oprah Winfrey could do it overnight. Some of the things that I'm trying to do, people I'm trying to contact for things that benefit Black Americans, these people have the connections that could do this at the snap of a finger, but something is stopping them from doing that. And we say it's controlled opposition. We say that they are told not to do those things. And so all of their attention goes over to some African school or something that has nothing to do with us. And they still have the appearance of being humanitarian minded, but they make sure that it does not extend to Black Americans.
Yes, Wani, we can close the show because you you hit the nail on the head. Did y'all hear what Wani just said? Wani just said celebrities give the appearance that FBAs are doing well when we are not. So when you show Oprah and show Cribs and show Michael Jordan's house in Greystone, Alabama, and his fancy sports cars to the public sees black man and say, see, black people are doing great. Black people vicariously living through one person. Black people are doing just fine. They don't need reparations. See, y'all are doing just fine. I'm out here starving in a trailer park. That is what these images of these celebrities are not only used against us, they are used directly against us. They are used against in diametric opposition to lower class whites to gaslight them into thinking that the black man is starting to do better than him when the black man and woman is not doing well at all. Only substantially less than 1% of black Americans are doing that well. And it is deceptive. It's intentionally deceptive, and these celebrities play into it. Now, for years, I've known this for years, but for years I haven't known the extent to which these black, and I'm not gonna say FBA because Cardi B is not FBA. I'm gonna say these melanated because some of them are FBA, some of them are melanated. These melanated celebrities are complicit. I didn't know the extent into the Biden Harris campaign second time around. That showed us just how complicit they were. And also, it showed how aggressive the system was into making them part of their agenda. If y'all recall, Usher Raymond was asked a political question during the Harris. I even forgot Kamala Harris's running mate's name, whatever the dude's name, during the Harris Waltz or whatever the dude's name was. During that campaign, Raymond was asked a political question, and he gracefully said, basically, I'm paraphrasing him, but said, I don't engage in politics. And I'd be damned if they didn't force him to answer. We saw money trails, and hopefully during the Trump administration, more of these money trails will come out of money being given to celebrities to basically lie on behalf of allegedly corrupt officials. So what the fuck does a celebrity have to do with political officials? Aren't they entertainment? No, they are used as, to quote one attorney that goes unnamed, the decadent veil, the veil that hides the fact that most Black Americans do not own a home. Most Black Americans are not doing well financially in this system. Is the decadent veil vis-a-vis celebrities is used to hide the fact that Black Americans had greater home ownership right after the Civil War during Reconstruction than we do now. That shit is unacceptable because we arguably are the only true Americans in this country. Average Black, what's on your mind? Let me bring you up. Oh, go ahead, Wani.
It's looking weird. It looks like I think he's up now.
What's on your mind, Average Black?
Oh no, man, you cooking, man. You doing your thing, man. I'm in agreement with you, and it's just a new. First of all, hello.
Hey, brother, what's up?
By the way, by the way, more than just a compliment. Hello, hello to Wani, hello Nikki, and hello to the family. Oh man, I see G Money up in here. You know what I'm saying? My Black is beautiful. Christina, FBA, Rita, Princess, man, there's so many people been here. Ain't been on consistently in the last few weeks. So I've been missing y'all. But yeah, man, you were cooking and you and Wani make an excellent point about this veil. And basically this fool's gold that gets presented to the world. And also it kind of makes the block hot for us because people come over here envying us. So,
Right.
they see these people doing so well who are us. And, yeah, it's a bit of a flex too, because we have these prominent figures and we have just all of these historical figures along with celebrities and very talented individuals. But, you know, the wealth gap in America is insane. And I mean, wealth gaps are insane everywhere when you look at the top towards the bottom. But in America, the thing is, being poor, you could still be rich in other countries. So it gives this really weird, skewed look. It's like, man, do you know they make this much or whatever? And it's like, bro, yeah, my water runs. And yeah, the lights technically are on the streets. There's a paved road. But man, like I could be ass out over here if I live in this type of neighborhood. Me personally, I'm blessed. I like how I live, but hell, I think I need more. And I see my people suffering. And the thing I love about us is when it comes to that, even those of us who are doing well, how well can we be doing if we see so many of our people starving? Like, you're not doing well if your people are starving. If you know it's a lot of people starving. Me, I drive by downtown LA at least 3 or 4 times a week, so I get to see the real underbelly, the biggest encampment of homeless people on the entire country. I get to see that 3 4 times a week,
Wow.
and of course, unfortunately, it's like 60% black,
Wow.
and obviously LA ain't 60% black, ain't 50, ain't 20% black. So it's very skewed. You want to know where all the black people are, a lot of black people are. It's obviously gonna be South LA, but you're gonna see a lot of us there. And it's very jarring. If you ever walk through there, it'll really fuck with you. Driving through there is one thing. But walking through there, man, it'll grab a hold of you. So I definitely take issue with that vantage point, of course, because people are envious and hateful. They don't want to give us that they don't even want to credit the people who are doing well. So they're envious of those people. But then it's like, oh, you guys are poor, you guys are doing bad. But of course, another thing they know, because unfortunately, tethers love to say we're doing better than you in America. And I go back to my point. If your people are starving, how well are you really doing? And of course, they always use that household income thing anyway, because, Black Americans, I think this is one of the vestiges of slavery. We don't like living a bunch of us in a house. Like we done been there and did that for hundreds of years, and even afterwards, it's like, man, you get out and you get your own. Your mama and daddy look at you when you 17 and a half. Shit, don't mess around and graduate high school at 17. They be like, shit, you can still do it. You can still get you a place. They be
Right.
looking at you, get your ass out and get your own. So we're different that way. Them, man, I got next door neighbors. Let me tell you something. I said it many times before, but I got Mexican next door neighbors, right? By the way, sidebar, them motherfuckers have been nicer to me than they have been in the last 6 years. Mexicans is real nice in California these days. Just want to let y'all know that. Some nice ass Mexicans walking around these days. God damn. But anyways, um, so it's like 7 adults there and like 5 6 cars there, right? In those 6 years, only more cars have been added. Nobody has moved out. So these people live heavy in these places. And it's like, well, we make more money than you. No, you don't. You got grandma there. You got 4 generations up in there. I mean, I done seen the kids become dependents, but also contributors. I'm like, ain't nobody getting the house, ain't no down payment, ain't no nothing. Where's this whole we live together and get ourselves up shit? I ain't seen it there, man. It's a whole bunch of adults there. So yeah, man, fool's gold. And it's really making the block hot, and we got to keep our eyes on the prize, no matter how many great advantages that we see other people having. That's what's always been our downfall in us taking a breather, seeing how well our greats do. The baby boomers were really bad at that. You see somebody doing well on TV or whatever. Look how good we doing. We all right. It's like, bruh, did you let me introduce you to this thing called crack? It's right outside the door, and motherfuckers are still on it, and it's kicking our ass. It's kicking the community's ass, and has been for a while. I mean, now it's other shit, but it's like we got work to do, man. I don't care if we got a black president, quote unquote. I don't care if we got a black vice president. I'm talking to the baby boomers because they think them people is black. But yeah, man, we got work to do. And if you don't know none of these people that are this rich, obviously we got work to do. They ain't in your family. You can't tap them for no loans, no help, no nothing to help the community out. Then obviously these are fairy tales that we get to see play out in front of us, and they're meaningless. And not only that, you talked about Usher. These people don't even say anything, don't even use their influence to push the messages that help our community forward. They say nothing. They're almost always quiet. Matter of fact, it's the opposite. Anti-Asian hate, I saw black people speaking out. Even Palestine, which can get you somewhere, I saw more black people speaking out for Palestine than I seen for reparations. So we got these cowards who will say something in help of other people's communities, even when it puts them at odds, but they won't say shit really for us. So yeah, man, I appreciate what you guys are talking about. I land my plane.
Yeah, we need a change of the guard, average black, because you said baby boomers. The baby boomers really dropped the ball, and I've got kind of like in trouble for saying this, but I'll stand on it. Now, my mother was is a baby boomer, and she stood in Birmingham, Alabama, getting attacked by dogs pushing the needle forward. So there are exceptions. With baby boomers, but collectively, but the baby boomers had a duty to establish institutions. Every generation is uh, moves forward based on the sacrifice of the prior generation. The baby boomers got all these opportunities: cheap school, cheap college, cheap medical school, cheap law school, cheap houses, buying two and three houses. They got that at the blood and sacrifice of the greatest generation. The greatest generation, Dr. King's generation, laid down and died so they could have these opportunities. And I'm sure my early millennials and Gen Xers in here, my millennials and Gen Xers can remember baby boomer FBA saying some bullshit like some variation of "I did it, you can do it." That's all I heard. I was like, I want a house. Well, I did it. You can do just what I did. When the situations were different for them, student loans. My father paid off his student loans in a couple years. You know what I'm saying? My student loans, I'm not even gonna tell. My student loans are equivalent to a house. It's a nice house. We're dealing with different issues, and the baby boomers developed this ideology of one. Let me tell you some toxic ideology. Toxic ideology is I'm the first. I'm the first to do this. I'm the first to do that. What happened to group think to the collective? There was some type of uh, selfish. Dr. Tom Wolfe said that the baby boomers came about during the me decade. Me. Look at what I got. And there was a study done, and I'm gonna get off my rant on the baby boomers. I know it's not the topic, but there was a study done recently that showed that baby boomers in general, not just FBAs, but baby boomers in general, are not leaving their jobs and they're not getting rid of their houses because they equate their houses and their jobs with power over their children. And they're not getting rid of their houses because, as a matter of fact, they're trading their houses in for bigger houses, i.e., to say, "Look at what I got, ha ha." It's a power play. Um, and anyway, back to the topic. Do celebrities protect or harm FBAs? I'm gonna say they harm. When I was a middle schooler in Birmingham, Alabama, when Michael Jordan retired. Those of you who are old enough to remember, Michael Jordan retired from basketball and played baseball with the Barons, Birmingham Barons in Birmingham. And man, we were so happy for Jordan to come to Birmingham. Do you know I was one of the little boys in line to say hey to Michael Jordan in his black jet in his Corvette? Um, that motherfucker looked at us like we stank and peeled out. Like Michael Jordan lived in Greystone, the white neighborhood, played at Greystone Country Club, ultra white, and acted like young black men didn't exist. I've had friends to try to get a signature from him. He said, "Get away from me. Leave me alone, man. What you want, man?" To a 12-year-old, and jumped in his car and peeled out. Michael Jordan is poison. What was poison to Birmingham? I wish his ass never came down there. You know? What are your thoughts on this issue, Princess Joe?
Good evening. I hope everyone is doing well. I would have to say I really appreciate the conversation because I agree. I do not believe that any melanated, or if we have to consider them black, or they're African, they're going to be West Indian, because they're going to put so many people together, including Afro Latinos. They're going to say these are black people, right? And at any given time, they put them in front of you and they get to represent this group. And more than likely, it's this it's this BIPOC type of being black, and you're just supposed to accept that their blackness says that what they say go, and if that's their opinion, we're supposed to agree with it, no matter their platform, no matter their politics, no matter if it's helpful. It's just supposed to be thought of that we're supposed to worship the celebrities. And clearly, you can go back to whether it would be black exploitation movies, or even when they have semblances between by like the spook who sat by the door. They take these people from us who can do something exceptional, whether it be sports, whether it be academia, and they'll put them above you and say, well, this is what you should aspire to be. And because that we're the type of people, based off of what we've been through historically, especially what we've been taught historically, we're appreciating this exceptionalism. Like, see, we can do great things, and we take that we can do great things from the individual as we should also semi worship this person. So we take their, okay, they accomplished something amazing, and so we lift them up as well because they were lifted up in front of us, forgetting this person is a human, forgetting this person is paid, forgetting this person was propped up ahead of you on purpose. And because we forget that, we don't think about the fact that who's paying for this.
Well,
Who
Go ahead. Sorry.
let me interject right quick because you bring up a powerful point. Let's go back to sports. Not we forget that these people were created as fucking weapons. Michael Jordan was a weapon to my lineage, to my generation, to early millennials and Gen Xers as well. Michael Jordan was propped up, and Bo Jackson. Both of them were propped up and weaponized against black men, young black men, psychologically to say, "Hey, black men, you can be like Mike. You can be like Mike." And guess what? People like me wasted time out of my life trying to be a goddamn basketball player. When the real the higher everything in life is mathematical. Believe it or not, everything in life is probabilities, probability of a POV, probability of occurrence. And the probability of being a goddamn ball player is less than 1%.
Yep.
I I noticed the
Or a
white
rapper.
or a rapper. It's the same shit. It's a goddamn weapon. I said it in Spain. I said it. I said it in a court of law. I said it. Goddamn it. These ideologies are sent to our young people to distract them away from the realities that you have a higher probability making money if you major in science and you become a scientist, computer scientist, medical doctor. You become a medical doctor, you can make $500,000 a year more than a goddamn rapper. But they don't push science to our children. They push sports to our young men. They pushed it to me. Be a ball player. It's weaponized. It's insidious, and I just want y'all to see it. But go ahead, Princess Joe. You made me think about that when you said that.
Oh no, absolutely. And I agree with you. And I actually wanted to address that point as well. That definitely we have to acknowledge the parts of what we've gone through historically, going to school. We understand the compulsory education part, but part of that is the acceptance of that there has been a through line of thinking that academia somehow makes you closer to whiteness or closer to being lame, and being part of sports is somehow cool. And there has been this expenditure to put so much onus, especially on homes, where people are looking at trying to get out of. That get out of mentality says, what's the fastest way to get out of? And the get out of is make your children somehow the ability to be the quick money famous, become an entertainer
Wow.
or become an athlete. And that has been a through line with many people. Instead of focusing on the long money part of it, which would be the long-term betting, the same thing with our relationship issues, it would be, okay, if our kids go into these specific academic ventures, you could have money that this child can learn about in regards to the financial issues, and they can learn that cause and effect. They can go through those experiences, and it can vet better for the long term. But the quick money situation, when you're trying to get out of, means that they're learning on the fly, and more than likely they're going to blow through so much if they do have the ability to get out of. And so you have so much of that that's happening. And I would say that definitely comes from the celebrity aspect, where you're having these people make it seem like because they got out of, then the rest of you are somehow lazy. Because they got out of, why aren't the rest of you them? And it's like, that doesn't make sense. There are only, I believe, about less than 2,000 professional sports athletes when it comes to baseball, basketball, football. Why would the thought process of that, your children out of the multi-millions of us, be trying to venture into going into professional athletics? It doesn't make any sense, yet it's been something that's been highly pushed. And even talking about it, sometimes the entertainers try to act like that's not something they're pushing, but they're a part of it, especially when it comes to the actors, actresses, and a lot of the singers. You're making it so this should be a goal, instead of, we can appreciate your art form or your expression. It doesn't need to be a group thing. We can still succeed. And I did want to address the point where you said about, it makes the poor whites feel like, oh well, the blacks have more opportunities than us because I'm looking at the TV. Like, many of them have complaining about the DEI halftime, and look at it, the leagues are 70% black. Yes, because without us coming into these leagues, when we had our separate leagues, especially for something like a baseball, your people are the ones who brought us in here to make money off of us. But the poor whites have been so mad. Like, the racism game is a poor man's game, because the people who are playing it at the level of what you can see, not the level behind the scenes, that's the poor whites are fighting against the poor blacks, or fighting against middle class blacks. So they're upset at the fact that if you do something where they feel like, I should be given this because they were given so much sometimes, and in their minds they don't feel like they were given, they don't believe they were given, because they don't see themselves as, there are rich white people that exist. And when you say the word to them, privilege, they get upset and they say, well, if I'm not rich like the white person that you're calling privileged, therefore I have none. So it seems like the blacks have privilege, because that's how they'll say it. The blacks have privilege because of Michael Jordan. The blacks have privilege because there's an Oprah. So if a black person has the ability to ascertain a high level of income, for them, this is all of you just wasting time. But I would counter that to say that the presence of a homeless white person shows laziness. And so they don't want to admit that we're all in the boat of being an American citizen. When you're a black American who's actually been here through the foundation before the country, and if you're a quote unquote Mayflower white, or even some of the Ellis Isles whites, we're the only groups of people in America who are practicing American culturalism. And I'll repeat that. We're the only group of people who are standing by trying to be an actual American citizen, meaning that we are
And
not practicing multiple adults in the household like the other groups of
and
people who
and
will come here. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. You're bringing some good points. In that, we're the what I'm hearing you say is something Wani said before. We're the only group of people, the only fucking group of people in America playing the game fair, and it's destroying us.
And I absolutely agree with that. I believe that we as a group of people, we should not have been playing the game fair. I do not think that we have to sit here and act like we have to be the moral substitute for anyone. We do not have to be anybody's morality, indignation, or whatever they believe is best for them. Listen, our country's nickname needs to be that hoe, because people like to come to this country and finesse that hoe. They like to get in between that hoe's legs. They like to play with this hoe. They like to try to marry this hoe. But they like to date this hoe. We're the only people who are sitting here trying to marry this hoe, and we need to stop trying to marry this hoe. We were supposed to finesse this hoe, just like these other groups of people who come here. And because of how we were taught, this McGraw Hill type of teaching us out of those Texas books that went into our school says that we need to now be good people because of what's bad to happen to us. They put this moral indignation or trying to make us like, okay, something bad happened to you. You know, if karma, you turn around and do something to us, it'll bad. No, no, no. F that. Throughout history, it is historical that people have tried to take over other groups of people, colonize other groups of people, just ransack other groups of people, try to wipe them off the face of the earth. The way that they have went out of their way to teach slavery, especially to Black Americans, has harmed our self-esteem, because it makes us think that there is some type of exceptionalism in being white when most of the whites across the world are poor.
Oh
And so
yeah.
it's some type of exceptionalism, and there's a de-exceptionalism, if you will, in being black, whereas we always have to try to get out. But as I said, when we're looking at this continent right now that we're on, North America, on this landmass, we're practicing a type of trying to be honest. We will finesse each other, absolutely, but we're trying to be honest to a system where nobody else is being honest. And the only other time we're being honest with the whites, and they're being so honest, is the fact that they don't want to have more than two adults in the household, usually, other than maybe a grandparent. Whereas these other
But
groups,
they have a system that
go
supports
ahead.
them. They have a system.
True.
But I want to say you brought up
Mhm.
McGraw Hill. That's the school books, and the school books are a big part of this gaslighting our children into thinking that everything's fair. I teach two sections of constitutional law right now, and I had to fucking. I'm like going on the website. I'm looking for different ways to teach it because the school books are talking about law and the Constitution as if George Washington wasn't a slave owner, like he was some goddamn hero who just saved the world. George Washington um, had bad teeth, as we all know. We knew he had wooden teeth, but what we didn't know is that motherfucker turned around to two of his slaves who had a pretty smile and he said, give him up," and snatched their goddamn teeth out to make his smile. He's not a hero. He's an anti-hero. But
Every time I bring that up about the teeth, somebody tries to tell me that I'm wrong about it.
it's facts. It's facts. But I wrote a book to counter this narrative for your kid, for our children, that tells the absolute truth according to multiple sources. If you want a copy of my book, Our Story Publications is in the jumbotron. Put $25 on it and make sure you put your name and full address with zip code in the Cash App. In the Cash App, and I'll send your copy out soon. I got a whole new box of books. Also, I'm about to put Wani and Nikki the Gods Cash App in the Jumbotron. Show them some love. Last thing I'm gonna say, and then I'm gonna let Princess Joe, who's been cooking like a motherfucker, land her plane. Princess Joe brought up poor whites being over us, and I want to give y'all some rare scholarship from Dr. Howard's End. Um, when the Irish came over here, the Irish were not considered white. And in 1802, there was a canal being built in Georgia, the Georgia Corporation, long story. But a canal was being built that was being built by enslaved blacks and indentured Irish. And our Irish women was basically said, fuck you to Irish men, and looked at them black men working in a canal and started choosing up. They start having babies with them black men, and the system took notice of that shit and said, "Oh hell no, we can't have that." Quote unquote, quote according to Dr. Howard's End, when the Brunswick, called the Brunswick Canal, for those you want to look it up, when the Brunswick Canal was built in Georgia, the black slaves and white Irish workers were segregated. The excuse being that they would do violence against one another, but that was cap. Quote, that may have well been true, but Fanny Kimball, a famous actress and wife of a planter, wrote in her journal the following. She said, quote, but the Irish are not only quarrelers and rioters and fighters and drinkers and despisers of niggers. They are passionate, impulsive, warm-hearted, generous people, much given to a powerful indignations, which break out suddenly when not compelled to smolder sullenly. Pestilent sympathizers, too, with a sufficient dose of the American atmospheric air in their lungs, properly mixed with the right proportion of ardent spirits, there is no saying what they might actually take to sympathy with the slaves. There it is. And I leave you to judge the possible consequences. You perceive, I'm sure, that they can by no means be allowed to work together on the Brunswick Canal. Them Irish women was go getting in that trench. Them Irish women was hitting that whiskey and looking at them brothers and leaving they men. So that right there, again, black men, white women choosing up on black men caused the system of white supremacy to start giving, allowing poor whites um, to have control over us. According to Dr. Howard's End, the need for slave control led to an ingenious device, paying poor whites themselves so troublesome for 200 years of Southern history to be overseers of black labor and therefore buffers of black hatred. And he also said religion was used for control. They revamped the Bible and put some, created that slave Bible, which I'll also put in my book. But Princess Joe, go ahead and land your plane. I really appreciate what you brought to the table today.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sorry because I could definitely speak to this topic like a lot. And I will definitely say when we're looking at our group of people, to kind of take it home, I definitely do believe it that we're living in a perfect time now where we're starting to question celebrity in a way that we've never done before. We're starting to question the people who've been put out in front of us to be kind of our leaders like never before, especially with the current political climate. I believe this is one of the best things that's happened to us. The vestiges of that celebrity worship, that demigod worship, we have to put away with it, and we do need to make sure that we're putting ourselves first as a group, and individually first. Your first community is supposed to be your family, not 45 to 50 million Black Americans. So when we're practicing family correctly, we can practice community directly because it goes to your extended family. It goes to the rest of the community. But when we're allowing ourselves to try to be everybody's moral god, if you will, it's taken away from us because they don't mind taking away from us, right, as a group. But we need to start putting ourselves first, and I have no issue with delineation when it comes to that. And we have to start delineating our homes. We have to make sure that our kids are not a part, are doing away with the educational process of being told that you're less than, that you have to work harder because of your skin color, and not that you can't be what you want to be because of an athlete. You can decide to do things that are best for you, and you can still have your hobbies. There is nothing wrong with going to school and deciding to get into science and math and still have a hobby if you want to make it pay or not. There does not need to be this constant, we have to, I have a dream into being an entertainer, and for somebody else's entertainment in their home, while somebody gets mad that you're an entertainer for them in their home. And then the last thing I just wanted to say really quickly, it is nothing wrong with us to go back to places where, no, our families don't live on the same street anymore to help support family. But sometimes it is okay to decide to practice economics as a family. It is a way that these other groups of immigrants who try to pretend that they work harder than us, they're smarter than us, that they can get their kids ahead and they can get their incomes ahead. If they can do it, and it's not because of they're doing it, it would help bolster us in a way that these other groups of people have been trying to tear us apart through our familial lineages. If we can make it so that every time a child doesn't turns 18, that we're not immediately putting them out the house, and we're supporting their ability to be in the home, teach them how we can work together, and immediacy there, everyone's not having five different mortgages or five different rents. It's just something that can help us on an individual basis or an individual familial basis versus us going out here and trying to practice this American culturalism that's killing us harder than everyone. And it has these immigrants coming here thinking, well, we're doing better than you. Yes, if you have 5 to 4 or 5 adults in the household all contributing income, that helps a lot. And I
Hey,
don't think people realize that.
Princess Joe, we're gonna move on to the next speaker. I appreciate you. Could y'all do me a favor and raise your hand? Because I lose track of who was next. I think it was Magus. Or Nikki wanted, was it Magus? You think? Okay,
Yeah.
Magus, you're up, bro.
Yeah, what's up?
What's up, man?
Yeah, as far as what hurt FBA self-esteem, it's a long stream of things, but I believe that considering that the people before us still, you know, had that fight in them, I don't believe that it's like something from way, way back that just completely broke us. I believe it's something that's like more recent. And one of the things I think it is, because you mentioned celebrities, right? And that demoralizes us by teaching that you could be, like you could be somebody who has no concern for their community, right? And that your lot in life has nothing to do with what you do for your people. You could be blessed in this life, and you can just say, "Hey, fuck the rest of them. Do what we say, and we'll make sure that you are good." And then we see that how can like kids see that and think, oh, when I grow up, I'm gonna be something that involves me giving back to the community or reaching back? Because you see people who don't do it and they seem to be the most successful.
Well, but that's what I see, and that's really one of the reasons why we held this space. Is I see kind of like a, excuse my French, but I see a kind of like a "fuck you, I got mine" attitude with these FBA celebrities and these black looking celebrities. Like, I got my shit, fuck you, and I don't appreciate that shit because in my view, we made them who they are, right?
That's Steve Harvey right there, though. That's Steve Harvey. If you want to talk about an FBA one doing that, Steve Harvey,
Oh, Steve
100%.
Harvey's old stupid ass came to my alma mater, the college I graduated. I got a full scholarship. When I left the Ivy League, I got a full scholarship to a historically black college. I'm gonna say which one it was. It was Alabama State, the Alabama State University in Montgomery, Alabama. Gorgeous historically black school. And Steve Harvey got Alabama State invited Steve Harvey to come speak as and they paid him money and gave him a doctoral, an honorary doctorate to speak at graduation. And the moment he got through speaking on graduation, he got on TV talking about how ghetto Alabama State was. Damn him.
How is he
Um,
ghetto? Yeah, the problem with them. They forget that like their blackness is still in effect. Even, that money leaves them, but that success leaves them. They get caught up in the wrong scandal. They get canceled. They gonna go back to feeling that blackness again, like the other side of it in full effect, and they just forget that. So really, this is the time where that's really we're starting to see that a lot more, though. Like the people who should have got theirs, and we were wondering when they were gonna get theirs, they're getting it now. So I think he's one of the people that's gonna be next, though. And people like that demoralize the community because it's like I don't want to have to be, woke. The hell with all that woke shit. Look at that nigga over there. He doesn't do anything for anybody but himself. He's flashy. He's arrogant. Don't really know
well,
anything. But look at him.
let's deal with something else. Room. Again, like I said, everything is mathematics. Everything is. Even having extreme success, there's an element of hard work, but there's also an element of luck involved, and fortune, and good timing involved with being successful, right? So, in my view, I think these celebrities hurt us by making it seem as if all you got to do is work
Work
hard.
hard. And that you don't have to be lucky or run into the right people at the right time, or in some cases, some of them, like they're not gonna say that a lot of them had to not speak on certain things or had to do certain things that they don't want anybody to know about to get there, and they will just paint it as because it's like a baby boomer thing that you mentioned. Oh, your generation, y'all don't work hard. That's what it is. Cause look at what I got. I got this by working hard. They'll never say, "Oh, this person gave me this opportunity," or "Hey, our community supported me. Somebody believed in me." Most of them don't really get off into that.
Right on. Appreciate it, Magus. I think Rob the Whip was up next. Go ahead, Rob.
What's going on, yo?
What's up, brother?
Oh man, God is great. Life is good, but answering the questions, does slavery hurt FBA's self-esteem? I would say yes. Since the establishment of this country on up, that it hurt us as a people. I was that was the focus. They had to break us as a people so they can do what they did to us. So, um, but it's getting better. On the other end, the FBA celebrities protect or harm us? I would say all depends on the celebrity. When you get money like those people have, in their minds they transcend color. That's the bullshit that they go by. I'm rich, so my money, my blackness is gone. Now I'm made of green. So, and they transcend blackness. So a lot of them. Uh, LeBron James is a perfect example. He gave back. He gave back to the community, got a school built. I wish more celebrities would do that in every black community that they came from. That would help us as a people. But a majority of them, they just forget. They harbor what they got. I worked hard to get here, and you should too. I'm not going to give you any handouts. Perfect example, Jay-Z. I think one of his cousins asked him for some money, like $2,000, and he told him, hell no. So, they messed us up as a people, bro. They really did. They did a job on us. And it's unfortunate. But I land my plane with that.
Appreciate it, bro. We're gonna go to average black, and if you want to speak, raise your hand so I can know who's next up. Go ahead, average.
Much appreciated. Can you hear me, sir?
I hear you just fine.
Okay, cool. You might hear like a little bit of a background, my kids in the back, but we drive.
Oh, you broke up now. Can y'all hear him?
But
No.
Okay.
it's where I'm driving. I'm driving through some mountains. I'll come back on probably about 10, 15 seconds. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you, bro.
Yes.
It'd be the, okay, yeah, and then it might cut one more time, and then I'll be consistent. I'm going like through some hills, but you brought up Michael Jordan, and I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that you brought up a lot of the people from that time. The baby boomer generation, me and my mother, my mother was like, man, you be hard on us. I'm like, because y'all the fun generation. Like, I was telling this to my wife literally probably about 4 hours ago when we were driving. I said that's the generation that had the most fun, and they had the least work to put in. They had all of the benefits from, like you said, the greatest generation. A lot of people in that generation, you got Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Minister Farrakhan. It was a whole different motion during that time, and they was willing to really put in the work to see us make it. Their kids made it, and I'm like, this is the generation that right out of high school could get a really good job, buy a house. House was cheap, and then on top of that, that house would be cheap, and then but they also got some of them got hooked on drugs, normalized single parent homes. You know what I'm saying? The feminist movement, like a lot of this stuff comes out of that generation, and they took a breather while having all of these great things, and didn't really hand on. They gave us less than what they had, and then blamed us and criticized us, for not having and being able to have the same results when they had way more because they were standing on the shoulders of greater
Preach.
giants. You know what I'm saying? And I tell my mom that I'm like, y'all had everything. Like y'all had everything. Y'all had some just like all y'all had the lead and you lost the lead. Like you put us further behind. I mean some people call it the crack baby generation or whatever. If you're a young Gen Xer, a young to middle Gen Xer, or if you're or an old millennial, you saw how things changed like firsthand, you know, and it's messed up because me, I was able to buy a house, but just barely, out here in California. But Gen Z, they can forget about it. Oh, and don't get me started on the student loans, like you said. Student loans were nothing when they was going to school. It was a few $1,000s. Now, like you said, it's the price of a home. And they sold us this dream. Hey, you go to school, you get this job. Now it's like it's people with all this debt, and they the manager at McDonald's, man. Like it's really sad, and that debt is keeping them from buying a home. And then when you talk about Michael Jordan, man, I had a cousin. My cousin still lives up in Oregon, but he worked on the Nike campus. And when Michael Jordan would come up there to the Nike campus, I believe it's in Beaverton, Oregon, or something like that. Like, if you talk to Mike or you held a gaze too long, you would be fired on the spot. You would not make it toward the end of that day. You could not talk to Michael. And don't answer no autograph. Don't even say hi. So he been a hoe. You know what I'm saying? He been like that. And then you brought up Mama Sleep. Stop it. But and then you brought up let me see. You brought up that. You brought up the Irish. Now what you said was so deep. Was deeper than where you went, but it was very deep. So they brought up how the Irish and how they were separated and how they didn't want sympathy, the living conditions, and all of that. Like people study every population. People think that the way we are is by happenstance, and this just life is just being lived in a randomness. and the outcomes are just based on that randomness, which is complete and utter bullshit. People study our populations. They know our tendencies. They know so much about us, and they know who we are. That's why there's such a concerted effort in which to harm us. It's always been that. It's always been that for us. Why? You don't try to keep down what isn't a threat. If somebody isn't a threat, you ain't got to do nothing. You're just superior, and it is what it is. But then they have to try to keep us down. They have to try. It's all of these systems, it's all of these concerted efforts to prevent us from amassing wealth, to keep us out of wealth, to give wealth to everybody else. Conversely, also, it's to get people to hate us while we're being beat down, while they're participating to hate us more. People who we've never interacted with, never done anything to. They study these populations, and the fear is anytime we get a little bit of a press, we make progress. Things go for the better. It's harder for the powers that be to take from the many because we're the ones that will die right there where we stand. We're the ones that will die exactly where we stand, right there to fight for a better tomorrow. So, thank you for this, this conversation, us being able to even bring this up. But keep an eye on these populations, how they study us, and how we move forward. Understand that our enemy knows us better than we think they do, and we have to break these patterns that we've been susceptible to because they know what we're going to do. One of the things too, the emotionality, tap into our energy. They know we're very spiritual people, very connected to our emotions, very much so passionate about what we truly believe in. And so they try to tap into that by saying things, tapping into our outrage. We have to make sure that we're not susceptible to that because they want us to blow it off. They have a system built off of us crashing out, off of us being reactionary. That's the whole point of it. This whole system is designed around penalizing our naturalness, whether it be our
Wow.
blackness, our hair, the way that we move, the way that we speak. That's what this is. So we have to be mindful of that as well. Know that we're being studied and that they want to prevent us from coming into our real true being because when that happens, it's lights out for the powers that be and we come into prominence. I land my
I
plane.
love what he said. He said they penalize our naturalness. Richard Nixon, who was the architect of the war on drugs, said criminalize what they love. Right? Very deep. Who is next?
I only see one hand.
I don't see any hands.
Agent?
Oh, go ahead, Agent.
Hey, what's going on, Professor? What's up, Nikki? What's up, Wani? What's going on, everybody?
What's going on, bro?
Um, Not much, man. How you doing? As far as the topic of the room, did slavery help hurt FBA self-esteem? I would say yes, but it's in our DNA to persevere and win. So I don't think it caused the damage that the white supremacist was expecting it to do. Is it still with us today? Yes, yes, indeed, but not as much as it could be, to benefit them, in other words. And as far as the celebrities go, I've always, I guess, because I've been kind of conscious of things, being raised by my parents and from their experiences, I've always looked at celebrities and NBA players or anybody that work for somebody else. I always looked at it like this: it's no different than a person getting a job at McDonald's. So I say that to say this: if Michael Jordan is making $100 million playing basketball, whoever he working for is making 500 million. You see what I'm saying? And besides that, um, we have to teach our kids to, um, from an early age, that entertainment is just that, entertainment. They're not your leader. They're not your savior. They're not your spokesperson. They're just there to entertain, and that's it. I would say also that we have to teach our kids at a younger age to look up to our true heroes. For instance, Professor, Nikki, Wani, I don't know if nobody ever told y'all this, but I'm gonna put it out there. You guys, y'all, 50, 60 years from now, people will be talking about y'all. 50 or 60 years from now, or at some point, and I would like to see it soon. It'll be children going to school on Black History Month dressed like y'all. It'll be kids going to school dressed like Tariq Nasheed or Professor Randy Short or Dr. Claude Anderson. I want to see that instilled in our children over our kids going to school dressed as some celebrity or even people that's past or just or the ones that they constantly recycle. Dr. Martin Luther King, George Washington Carver, and props and respect to them. But at the same time, too, we have to let them know that our greatness didn't stop there. Our greatness is still going on right now today. It's no reason that you guys' name shouldn't be a household name in every Black household. Like Dr. Claude Anderson and like Randy Short, for instance, you could see them on videotapes in the 90s, or if you caught them on a TV program in the 90s. But now we live in the age of the internet. I listen to you guys and I talk with you guys every day. It's no reason it's no reason that our kids shouldn't hear you guys' names in our household every day. Wanda, you are the first Black woman to go to or the first woman, period, too, to go to every country on earth. There's no reason why your name shouldn't be a household name. And as far as our kids trying to use sports or either entertainment to achieve or as a fast track. I played basketball as a child and in middle school, and I moved. That's why I never did it in high school or college or anything. But in Texas, sports is big, and I was really good. My whole team was good. Actually, we went undefeated my first season, and I was always told to use them. If I did make it to college ball, use them because they are using me. So if you're going to give me a free education to play basketball, to score points, to get people to come to pay to see us play, then I'm going to use you for that free education. Everything free I can get out of you, I'm going to get it out of you. And we have to also teach our kids. My dad used to say something. Excuse me. He used to say, I'm going to sit down and watch the news and see what they're lying about. So I don't have any children, but I instill in my nieces and nephews. When you go to school and you learn something, if it seems off or it is off or it's on a certain topic, come to me and I'm gonna teach you what they're lying about. Give me 1 second. And another thing is, as far as like the Hispanic people staying in one house or whatever, and we tell our kids to move out when they get a certain age or this and that. That's fine, but at the end of the day, like I got 19 brothers and sisters. I'm like the one of two that don't have any kids. I teach all my nieces and nephews, which is they're cousins to each other. When y'all get big, pool your resources together and create something. So the same thing they're doing versus staying in one big household together, pool your resources together. And instead of going to college to get a degree for a job, find a career. We are creative and innovative people. And if we could teach them to pool their resources together to open something, I'm sure our kids would be the first, excuse me, to come up with some kind of innovation or to open up some kind of business. My heroes or the men in my family and the women in my family that I've seen open their own businesses. I've always wanted to be like my father. No matter how many jobs I've ever worked at or whatever, my end goal is always to own something or do something on the side. So that's something a few things that we should instill in our kids and instill in each other as a community. And I land my plane.
Love it. And I would, and you know what? It's just to piggyback off of that before we go to Soheem, I agree with you. And it's kind of controversial for me to even think this because, I make my money teaching, supporting the educational system and supporting college. But just quickly, I want to say I'm coming to the conclusion, and this is terrible coming from me, but I'm coming to the conclusion that it may be better to go get a trade than to go to college. I only advise my students to finish their college degree or go to college if they're majoring in engineering, nursing, medicine, law, education, maybe education. But if you're majoring in a lot of computer science is a big one, but college can be a big waste of time unless you get a trade. We're gonna go to Wani right quick. Oh, go ahead, Mac. Agent.
Yeah. Oh, can I say one more thing?
Yes, sir. And then we go to
And
Wani.
you, Professor, you are a curator and a teacher of our history, and it's no reason I hold you just as high as I hold, except you're a living and active person that we all should uplift. So that should be put in our kids' heads. Nikki the guy is a curator of art. She takes all your spaces and not Tariq's spaces, and she puts them on the internet for us. She's like an archivist of our history and then things that we got going on right now. It's no reason why you guys' names shouldn't be household names in every FBA household. And I'll end my plane.
Go ahead, Wani.
Yes, I was just going to say back to those baby boomers. So what they did was they were a very successful generation, and they did have that attitude that I got mine, get yours, which is very much like white people. They also had that, leave the house at 18. That's white as well. That's not the way most people do it. They usually stick together, or they'll even, I mean, I've worked with immigrants, they'll have houses on the same street. Not only do they live all in the same house, but they'll get three or four houses right next to each other, like a sister, and another sister. That way, their families can stay close together. And I think that's a really good idea. But Americans don't do that. They're all across the country. You went over to school here, then you went over there to get a job. And we're all scattered across the place, just like the white people. We've taken on some of their characteristics. Now, the baby boomers, they rested on their laurels. So their attitude was, I got mine. The civil rights stuff is over. We don't have to do anything. We'll always have to do something for the rest of our lives. There's no movement, there's no protest, there's no boycott, there's no end to it. We'll always have to have a class of people that advocates for us. So we just have to have that installed. Now, the part is, we did. It's called the Congressional Black Caucus. It's called the NAACP. But those got infiltrated, and they don't work for us anymore. So we have to build those up again, like we built those different systems to help us navigate living in the United States of America as a smaller population under an oppressive population. So that's basically, I just wanted to go back to that. One other thing, not only did the baby boomers, not only were they successful, but their success makes the next generation kind of not as hungry. You see the problem? That's typical with any group. You have a very rich father, the kids are going to be losers. Their kids are going to be like, well, why can't I just live here? You already made millions of dollars. Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to be a rap star? Why do I have to be a basketball star? Why do I have to be the next Michael Jordan? You've already made money as those things. So that there's a lot of things going into the attitude. The baby boomer success has the next generation being not as hungry. Combined with them resting on their laurels and not making sure these organizations are geared toward us, and the idea that you don't need to help your family members and they all need to get out at 18. All of those things have come together to make quite a mess. But we're not in it alone, because there's other people, uh, Americans, with the same mindset. We just need to have our own mindset that's not under the umbrella of that white mindset on dealing with your adult children.
I wanted to quickly say, along those lines, Wani, Average Black said some powerful shit that I never really thought about. He said the baby boomers were also, I'm paraphrasing them, but he said the baby boomers were also the group that introduced it, this, that got on crack first. So not only did they have all the opportunities, they the ones that got us all fucked up on drugs. Man, I'm sorry, the baby boomers dropped the ball, man. Um, Go ahead, Soheen.
Oh, my bad. Can I be
Can you hear
heard?
me? Yes, sir.
Okay. First off, always a pleasure to be a part of this wonderful space with the family. Shout out to Wani, Professor, all the regulars. What's up to everybody? Um, I think I'm just looking at the title. I'm just not joining the space, but I'm just looking at the title, and I'm looking at the part where it says, well, I can address both parts. The first part about do FBA celebs protect or harm FBAs, I would definitely say more so harm. Sadly enough, I would say harm because a lot of them do not, unfortunately, even the ones that want to be sincere and want to be genuine, they're not necessarily allowed to be sincere and genuine. They have strings connected to their backs that we will never be able to see. Even if we were standing next to them, we wouldn't see the strings that they're connected to. They're not able to say certain things and speak, which is I don't know if this has anything to do with what our great brother Kanye West has been doing for the past week or so, but that's kind of he said a lot of he said a lot, but at the very very end of the day, his ultimate point was I want to say what I want to say. I don't care who it offends, who it uplifts. I just want to be able to say what I want to say, aka freedom of speech, which we all should be able to have. And unfortunately, a lot of quote unquote celebrities do not have freedom of speech at all. If you, I mean, there's so many examples. I can use somebody like the baby, the rapper, the baby. His career was doing pretty well. He was one of the biggest artists back in 2019, 2020. And I remember he got on the he did some concert, and I don't know if he was drunk or just feeling himself, and he was like, probably a lot of people remember, but he was like, he was talking to the crowd, and he was like, make some noise if you ain't got AIDS or da 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 or none of no gay shit or no gay shit like that. And he was just talking shit, just being himself. But he essentially got canceled ever since he did that. Like, the LGBT community took offense to that. He had to apologize. They still didn't let him back in. So I just say all that to say, as far as like celebs harming FBAs, I use somebody like Young Jeezy, who I grew up in Atlanta during the early 2000s. I was in middle school when Young Jeezy came out, when he had the Trap or Die Snowman shirts. And the snowman represents narcotics that he was selling. And we was all wearing the shirt until the school banned us from wearing the shirt. And it was so interesting because while he had us basically promoting selling dope, he was teaching his kids how to buy property and how to invest in real estate. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna tell your kids to sell dope, but I'm gonna tell my kids to invest in real estate. So it's kind of like, they do intentionally harm. Rap music specifically has just turned into like serial killer culture. Like every single song is about I'm gonna kill this nigga, I'm gonna kill that nigga, I'm gonna do this to him, I'm gonna do like every single song is serial killer music. And so that's just where we are. And it's gotten to the point to where there's no boundaries. Like these guys are going to like people who their enemies' graves and shooting videos at their graves and pouring alcohol uh on top of their headstones and like I mean, just as disrespectful as it gets. So I mean, that's definitely there's nothing uplifting about that, and there's nothing protecting about that. These people don't really care about y'all kids. They don't care about my kids. They have a job to do. They get paid very well to do it. Somebody like a LeBron James, he was definitely paid to uplift Kamala. That was very obvious. And so, but he didn't say nothing when there was a police shooting, unlawful police shooting of a FBA man right in the very town that he loves so much, which is Akron, Ohio. He didn't speak a peep on social media about it, but he's this huge social media activist. I'll say one last thing and I'll land. Michael Jordan. I have a lot of respect for Michael Jordan for this. And I didn't know this about him until I watched his documentary. I can't forget what it was called, but it was like a 6-part documentary that was on Netflix. And during the time when Michael Jordan is arguably still to this day probably one of the most popular foundational Black Americans that exist ever. He's just as big as Michael Jackson was. And because of that, as we talked about, as Tariq has mentioned a million times, they always try to get us involved. They always want our legends, our, the head, the top people in our lineage. They always want them to speak on political issues and to give their opinion and to chime in. And they will always interview Michael Jordan about politics and just social justice issues. And he refused to speak on it. He always refused to speak on it. And people bashed him like, nigga, you got all this money and you got all this influence and you don't want to speak up for us. And he literally said out his mouth, I'm a basketball player. I'm not a politician. I'm a basketball player. So I respected him for that because they couldn't force him to to talk about something that was outside of what he does. And I'll land my plane there.
Well, when you brought up quickly the whole thing about Young Jeezy, I didn't know that Young Jeezy was when he was, so what did he say, 17.5 supporting, got a brick 17.5. I didn't know he was teaching his kids that. So that's new information to me. But when you said that, I thought of a video, and maybe some of y'all seen the video of Cardi B where she was playing some fucking ratchet song. One of her ratchet songs came on in the house, and she her daughter was in the room with her. Did y'all see that? A ratchet
This
song.
yeah, this
Yes,
woman this woman is showing. I just saw a video real quick. I just saw a video of her yesterday with a super tight dress on, ass cheeks just bouncing, bent all the way over, ass all up in the camera, and she's a mother of three young children. I'm like, she a whole mother doing this.
but
So
she says she doesn't allow her children to look at those types of things.
That's what I'm talking about.
So this is the issue with the rap songs. Who gave anybody the idea that rap songs are something that we're supposed to, copy off of? Who copies off of songs? What other songs do people copy off of? Just name the music genre. Are we supposed to be copying off of songs?
when you say copy, what do you mean?
Well, you say that these songs are causing people to react violently, get into problems legally because of the content of the songs, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
That's the
these
argument.
these artists have huge influences on the youth. They have the biggest influence.
But
I'll give
whose
you.
idea was it that you're supposed to copy off of what's going on the song
I I
or
I get.
believe it's real?
I guess that I wanted to be honest with you. I think that goes back 500 years
To win? To what?
to chattel slavery.
Rap songs?
No, just that idea of how can I say
Because
it?
it reminds me of the African excuse of, I saw it on a rap song, I saw it on TV, so it must be your actual life. Because I mean, I don't understand why there's that attitude of having to reenact things on the music. But I do see that people are,
I'll tell you, Wani,
because I
because
just listen to it. I don't actually get a gun and go out and shoot people in my neighborhood,
you want.
even though I listen to a lot of things that would be considered gangster rap.
I'll give you yours. That answer because the girls think the to them the girls think is cool. The girls think it's cute. The girls want the bad boy. I'll tell you this.
Mhm.
I'll tell you this real quick. When I grew up in school, I grew up in Atlanta, and I grew up in Atlanta during the course of music just changing from this type of vibe to this vibe to this vibe. And so when I was growing up in middle school, early high school, I always noticed that the women wanted the gangsters. They wanted the hood niggas. They wanted the street niggas. They wanted the niggas who was fighting everybody. And oh, you
Yeah,
don't
I
want to.
understand that. Alpha males. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was so I think it kind of turned into that. Like you noticed as a kid that all the girls gravitate towards the guys that's always in trouble, always fighting. The
Now,
guy that
what did they do when Luther Vandross was popular?
I wasn't born then, one day I couldn't tell you.
Or Earth, Wind, and Fire and Stevie Wonder? Did they reenact anything they were talking about?
No, but I can tell you that even during those times, like I think that's like the 60s, 70s, like every phase. Let's go back to like Harlem Nights. I don't know when the movie Harlem Nights with Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy and all of them. I think that movie took place in like the 30s, the 20s, 30s.
I think that was a
So
Roaring Twenties movie, but I'm not sure.
okay, exactly. So all the way back to the 20s, those dudes were considered gangsters. So there were still in every time period in every decade, there were still gangsters. There were still gangsters in every time period. So to answer Wanny's question, there was it's just they were just another form of gangsters, and that's who a lot of the women were attracted to.
Now,
Women.
okay,
Go
I
ahead.
get it. But now, do you know whose music has caused more deaths than rap ever will?
Who's that?
White people's version of rock and roll.
Expand.
They murder people. They do satanic rituals. There's a lot of court cases where they cite this music. They have the 50th most evil songs in the world, and they're mostly rock songs. And they've done this all over the world, even up in Scandinavia. They've listened to these songs, and they were motivated to murder. Serial killing, sacrificing virgins, whatever it was talking about. I just find it strange that all of a sudden people are reenacting things on music, but they weren't reenacting things before it got violent. But it did get violent in rock and roll, and it got violent in gangster rap.
Well, gangster rap got violent officially uh when NWA came out. Well, more so like Ice T. But when NWA came out, that's when it officially turned to like, oh shit, like to the point to where they were like getting about to get banned in court. They was going through court cases, fuck the police. When all of that start coming out, that's when niggas they rap about shooting at the police and gang banging and
Yeah, I'm aware of the content. I think we should go to the hands. I
yeah.
like the music. I like the anger. It's an expression. It's an art form, actually. I know it's been demonized, but you're not supposed to reenact the music. You're just supposed to listen and feel pumped up. That's
This is
that's
very
what it's
true.
for. You're not supposed to go out and
So
copy.
my question to you really quick, one is how do the is it realistic to think, especially where we are now, is it realistic to think that where the youth are today with the access to weapons that they have, with the access to
Well,
drugs that they have?
this is where parents come in. Just like Cardi B says she doesn't let her children listen to things and see things, see sexually explicit things. That's where the parents come in. So if you should know your child. If your child is weak-minded and they copy off of other people in school, like the a cave to peer pressure, then maybe they're not a good candidate to listen and look. Uh, and somebody else like me, I can listen and look for decades, and it's not going to make me go out and do anything that's going to get me in trouble.
Hmm. Very interesting. We're gonna go to average, Magus, and then Princess Joe again. Go ahead, average.
Just I thought about something. The first two times I forgot to say it. We're talking about celebrity, and what the money looks like. The biggest, hustle in all of this is the fact that a lot of them don't have the money that they get portrayed to have by Forbes, or they portray themselves to have. The just what it seems like they have, they don't have. Especially reality stars, they're incredibly broke. I've seen this firsthand myself. But when you see a lot of these celebrities going broke, you're like, how did you go broke? Your contract was, you made 100 million, 200 million. How could you go broke? And it's that lifestyle, it's the appearance of that, even just, the insecurity of wanting people to think that you have money as well. I think a lot of times some of these celebrities, when they don't get they family money, they really don't be having it low key, or they think about damn, I can't. If I give you $10,000, I'm waiting for my next check to come, my next allotment to come out or whatever. That's gonna set me back. I know it say I got $20 million, but $10,000, $15,000 will set me back because I'm paying everybody. I might have a few kids. My child support might be based on what Forbes is saying and not so much what I'm bringing home. A lot of these things, but it's really It's a hustle even in that, just making people think that you make more money when you don't. I mean, when I was living in the valley, right? The funniest thing was he got a show called Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, right? It should have been called Love and Hip Hop The Valley because I kept seeing people living in the valley, live in the valley. I would see the streets they was on, the places they would eat at or whatever, and I got so irritated because it was like 4 or 5 places that I was eating at, that I saw them at, and they trying to make it look like it's something that's not. Like one of the places, it's a scene in Love and Hip Hop where the dude is running across the table trying to get at Safari or whatever, and they got like this little banquet table at the top. Like this place is so damn classy. I'm like, man, that's a $2 Taco Tuesday. If you don't knock it off, but they live in here, the little places that they were shopping in, the cars the apartment buildings they was living at. But you would think that they were millionaires or something. And these cats are thousandaires, man. These cats is literally, not even taking home $100,000 in a year. And you seeing them on television, dressed to the nines and going to these clubs. But if they don't get in for free, and if the drinks ain't comped, they not gonna be buying and drinking like that if the club owners don't want them to be seen there and all of that. So it's really all that glitters really ain't gold. And what they say they live like, they really don't live like a lot of times. And they be miserable too because they are real close. Another thing too that'll blow your mind. You will see people who will be up. You will see them working a regular ass job. I done seen some of these cats working at the courthouse. I done seen cats working at like just regular retail jobs or whatever. That happens a lot out here because this is where everybody lives that's in that industry. But if you have a slow couple of years, you're gonna be at a regular job again. If you was like in a little bit show and they don't want you no more, or maybe you were a child actor and your parents spent all your money and Disney don't think you cute at 26 years old, you gonna be out here. You know what I'm saying? Like we all see Orlando Brown. Orlando Brown lived like a regular dude, saying crazy stuff trying to get that money up. But you'll see him out and about, and you'll see a lot of people out and about, seeing riding the subway. It's really crazy the way that that happens. So they do all of this, and they don't even help their people out when they're at the height of their influence, only a lot of times to either go broke, or if they do get a chance to keep their money, even then they don't keep it because a lot of them got a spouse from a different community. So if they get to have a little bit of wealth, it ain't even gonna stay in the community. It's not even gonna stay in the community. It's gonna legit go back to another community or whatever, and the wheels on the bus go round and round. The cycle continues. So, it's not even worth it to really be a celebrity. And the brother was talking about who we should look up to, our real icons, the intellectuals, even if it's just to inform ourselves and be like them in order to walk around and be armed with the same type of knowledge as ammunition. That's a beautiful thing because then we can operate on a higher level and do things for self. Believing in self, believing in our community. That's one of the other things. We want these dollars, and them dollars really ain't worth nothing, man. They're like the numbers on jerseys or whatever. This is fiat currency. People want all these dollars or whatever. You look at a basketball court or whatever. I mean, you would have a player who has a 99 in his jersey, and you have a great player who has a 1 in their jersey. They both made out of the same material. It's got different numbers on them. Money is literally like that. It's if somebody can say, well, that jersey's worth more because of the number on it. That's literally this money that we're chasing and what these people are out here trying to get you to believe that they have in order to look up to them. Meanwhile, they're dumb. A lot of times they're miserable. They're soon to be broke. They're going to return right back to where they were. So they're nobody to be looked at. And of course, morally, they're bankrupt because they don't stand on anything except appearing to have money. And then when you ask them to say anything of import, they don't have anything to say for our community. They're just going to be cowards and think about the money that they might lose, that they're going to lose anyway, probably because relevancy lasts but that long, especially if you're not really genuinely multi-talented and have a good business acumen, which is what we really should be teaching each other and what the celebrities should be teaching us. They don't even want to grant us access. They want us to see them doing well. Somebody brought up Steve Harvey. Yeah, he definitely got that spirit. He'll talk to you about making money and blessings, but he'll never ever get to the nitty gritty of how to get there, of what one should be doing, no kind of stock tips, no kind of where to put your money, and none of that. It's just, everybody show your love. I'm gonna show you what he done. Everybody, we, God is good. He gonna lead the stage. He gonna go to his big ass house and shit to his wife that's cheating on him. So I'm gonna land it there.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. Let's go ahead and go. I see I have somebody new up here. Let's see what from the river to the sea. What's your submission? And then we'll go to Princess Joe and then the Magus. From the river to the sea, can you hear me? From the river to the sea, going once, going twice. All right, moving on to Princess Joe. What's on your mind, Princess Joe?
I think that Magus might have been before me. I just want to be respectful in case he was.
Okay, I can never tell. Go ahead, Magus. Thank you for saying that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I wanted to say that we can still learn from the celebrities, but the kids should have it put in context for them though. Because sometimes you got to look at people as good examples of what not to do. Also, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of them really need to just watch. You know how there was those documentaries some years ago about these celebrities and their ups and downs. How it was like a roller coaster. They weren't stable in their lives, like behind the music and stuff. Kids need to be shown, I think, like that behind the music stuff. Who want to be celebrities and worship celebrities? Hey, look at this one. This one has they got problems too. This one has a cocaine addiction. This one can't keep a marriage together. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, they're super talented, but look at their personal lives and don't be distracted by the talent and the success.
What the proof is in the pudding type thing?
Yeah, I mean, because at some point they're gonna find out. I'd rather the kids like know, hey, this is how these people are really living. A lot of them early on, then them have to learn the hard way, and then they get in a position. Some of them and then they got to go through some of them same stuff that they could have avoided had somebody just broke it down for them. Like, hey, we ain't they're not getting money like you think they get money. Only a portion of them are really getting money like that. Everybody in their pockets, like they getting taxed in them contracts.
Yeah, yeah, good, very good points. From the river to the sea. Oh, I'm sorry. Princess Joe, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I just had, excuse me, a direct comment in regards to Wani's and Sohim's conversation in regards to like the music influence. Um, I find it to be somewhat of a cop out to always blame rap music as if rap music only has one totality of a genre in and of itself. It has subgenres, and so you can't just say rap music and go straight to the violent rap when if we go to California, right? I listen to Dom Kennedy and Larry June. They do not talk about killing people. In fact, they like to make vibe music for hanging out with women. You can go from every region. You'll find this. You go to Chicago. You have the cool kids with Michael Rocks, right? They when again they weren't making that. Now there was an era, especially with the 2010s, of that pill pot rap. That's people who making a choice to do that. But if, where most of us at any given time in a space, there's mid millennials to early Gen Xers. We're going to act like neo soul didn't happen in the early 2000s, late 90s, which was a direct homage to the 60s to 80s R&B and soul. So we're going to say that you choose to make sure when you're at home with your spouse and your family, you decide to listen to rap music that's only talking about killing, but you're saying when you're with your particular significant other, that's what you're listening to instead of making a vibe. So I find it to be a cop out because you're doing that thing that those white moms did. If you decide to go back and look at the documentary Bowling for Columbine, I don't think people remember that white women, especially white families, were blaming rock music, Marilyn Manson's, and a lot of these people for them kids going out and shooting up schools. Now it was the early days as well. They were blaming video games. We're doing what they're doing to say that we only exist one way and we all listen to the same music, and it's disrespectful to make it seem like that's the only way we exist. Those moms were censoring TV. They were trying to censor music. Marilyn Manson went out after those kids shot up the school in Columbine, Colorado, and was like, "This is not my fault. Don't try to make it my fault." Charleston Heston also went out and said his famous line, "Over my dead body, you're not going to take my guns," because they were blaming the guns too. We don't have to make it seem like all Black Americans, we all exist the same way. If you like to listen to rap music that talks about killing, cool. Don't try to act like Fabulous doesn't exist and you can't listen to vibe music and it's talking about getting money. Let's not try to do that thing where we all are listening to mainstream radio music. You can decide most of the time, especially if you're cooking at home, who's listening to pop and music if you're trying to make, some food at the house. I'm not doing that when I'm cleaning greens and not in the tub. I'm not sitting here like, oh, you know what? I would love to be popping pee while I'm sitting here trying to clean. You know what kind of things I'm trying to do with the knife? I'm not trying to cut myself. And I'm also not thinking about that when I have family around. So it's just one of those things where it comes into being a cop out where we try to force each other to all be the same one big bowl of nigger, that we only listen to rap music. We only listen to this. No, we don't. No, you don't. You decide what you want to do with your family. And the last thing I'll say, also, let's stop trying to play like people didn't grow up, especially in the South, where you're listening to this Baptist influence, you're listening to gospel music. Was the gospel music telling us to go out and kill people? It wasn't. Most of the time, people are having damn near many devotionals at home. To this day, if I go to many of my older family members' houses, even my own, I'd rather create a more loving mood and atmosphere in my household versus me wanting to make it where we're trying to party all the time. So I just wanted to say that because it's just one of those things where I find that we don't always have to do that to each other and pigeonhole and back each other in a corner. That the music is forcing us to do something, as if you guys, is the music telling you not to pay your rent? Is the music telling you not to pay your mortgage? Is the music telling you not to pay your light bill? Like, let's not do that to each other.
Oh yeah, very great points.
Those were excellent
Yes.
points. And I always bring up, um, like I said before, rock music has been on everything. All the serial killers
Facts.
had been court, Manson,
Devil worship.
all of it. And I always tell people, what kind of music were they listening to when they chopped up 10 to 30 million people in the Congo? What kind of music was playing on that playlist? I have another one. What kind of music was playing during the Holocaust? You want to guess?
Classical music.
Exactly. They had orchestras at the concentration camps, and Jewish people played in those orchestras. So they had very good music. You can see pictures of them with even playing accordion music, having a great time while they're murdering everybody. Explain that. I listen to classical music to relax sometimes. I used to about 10 years ago, but or to study to. So you can make a lot of excuses, and you are in charge of what you listen to. Nobody's making anyone listen to anything. That's the other thing.
Good point. So, Wani, are you arguing that this whole idea of um, the rap music is turning our kids into bad is just a cop out?
Yes,
I
definitely.
believe it. You want to know why? Because the majority consumer of rap music and violent rap were white children. They're the ones that consume it. So so let's deal.
'Cause it basically just makes me feel pumped up. I listen to it when I exercise. It kind of just pumps me up. I don't feel the urge to go out and murder everybody in the neighborhood. Now on the app, that's another thing.
That's funny. From the river to the sea, are you back up? I'll ask you one more time. If you're not up, I'm gonna go ahead and drop you down. From the river to the sea, are you up?
Didn't we talk to that person before?
No, he never said anything.
No, I mean on another day.
I feel like that's that guy from Guinea.
Is it? Because I thought that was one of our admirers,
I feel like that's that dude from Guinea.
foreign admirers.
Last time, from river to the sea. Can you hear me? Going once, going twice. All right, I kicked him down. Let's see. Anybody else want to contribute? Did I miss anybody come up? I thought somebody came up. Well, in conclusion, did slavery hurt the FBA self-esteem? Yes, it did. It put us in a position of, as Dr. Claude Anderson said, I'm paraphrase him, of supporting others. The key idea of the transatlantic slave trade was that we weren't able to benefit off of our own labor. Other people were supposed to benefit off our own labor. So that became a behavioral pattern that was exploited by um, Europeans and unfortunately later exploited by members of the diaspora. And I think in my opinion, based on evidence, um, supported by evidence rather, um, celebrities have been used to perpetuate this mental state caused by slavery. So they're part of not all of them, but a lot of them are part of the problem. I think that,
Well,
go ahead.
I think we were disappointed with Michael Jordan because we were expecting Muhammad Ali. We were, and we didn't get anything at all. We just got, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, and that's it. We didn't get the, advocating and humanitarian outreach that we wanted, but we really did get one of the best basketball players of all time. And I can't argue with that. I just, he just doesn't want to do that. So that's it.
Right. I have mixed emotions about it. I'm kind of it's hard for me to draw a conclusion on Michael Jordan because I do understand. I think maybe Average said, or somebody in the space said that Michael Jordan. I heard him say, "Look, man, I'm just a basketball player," and there's some truth to that, but there's also some truth to your overwhelming financial success is due to us. We wrote,
Court.
right? Don't you think hold on, let's see if I'm tripping. Don't y'all think that celebrities owe the public, or are celebrities without?
Yeah,
Oh,
they do.
right. So you don't get.
But he
Go ahead.
he feels like he doesn't.
That's some arrogant shit,
But
is what
his
that is.
yeah, his general personality is he looks personable, he's marketable, he has, chemistry, and he doesn't look like his real personality is. His real personality is not that nice. He's not that nice.
Yeah, he
He
does.
literally beat everybody up on the team and made them win. They were like scared to not be world-class basketball players. I have never heard of that. He didn't inherit a team of legends. Okay, he's in a class by himself. He made the team. He created Scottie Pippen. He created Horace Grant. Nobody knew who they were. He whipped them into shape. So that's where all of his energy went. It went into whipping everyone into shape, being a superstar, and it just simply does not extend to where I wanted to extend to, like Muhammad Ali. I guess we only get one Muhammad Ali. That's it for the whole for 1,000 years.
Tom Wolfe said that in one of his articles back in the day. He said that most people, 99% of people on the planet are either doing or talking. Um, they're either doing something amazing or talking about doing something amazing. And Tom Wolfe said that there's that 1% that can do and talk about it at the same time. And Muhammad Ali was one of them. They could talk about exactly how he's going to beat the living shit out of you and then do it at exactly the same time. Man, I'm going to hit you in your motherfucking jaw and you're going to go down. Pow, hit him in the jaw. He went down.
Oh my God, that's an amazing quote.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great book. Go ahead, agent.
Kind of off topic, but I just wanted to remind you again, Professor, please get something started with FBA Day. I think that would be it's kind of detrimental to the conversation now. I think it will be good because that would be a way to get our kids and other and grown-ups to kind of learn about the lineage and the movement and change
You
their mindset.
I will, agent. Do me a favor. DM me on that. Because I'll go to bed and forget. But I will get something cranking for FBA Day. I think that's a wonderful idea. Just say, Professor, remember the FBA Day. I got an idea, but I'm not going to talk strategies on on Twitter because people be listening.
Okay.
Average Black, what's on your mind?
Yeah, no, y'all up here cooking. I meant to say something we were talking earlier. So I keep like every time I get up, I'm forgetting something because y'all be hitting on so much stuff. It's a lot to forget about. Like the music that was playing when all these atrocities were happening. Very great point that Wani made because even these kids, because they're basically that's what they are. When they go overseas and fight in these meaningless wars, and they piloting drones or they in a tank or whatever, and they're wiping people out, in the name of quote unquote freedom. They're listening to, I mean, at least they were anyway, listening to some pretty messed up, music that their people made. You know what I'm saying? That their people create. And that's just one instance. I mean, the Holocaust was an incredible point about what kind of music gets played when atrocities are happening, or the people, what kind of music they listen to, what their mind is on, or even the movies. You know, there's been a lot of movies that really glorify violence, and they're visual. They're not just what you hear, is what you see. You actually see people committing these acts with incredible, these horror films. So these horror films are incredibly gory. And you see the most grotesque way it normalizes a level of just, inhumane treatment of another person. I can't even, we couldn't fathom until we even saw it. But some of these kids are, they are attracted to that and they want to see more of it. And there's even communities around that like dressing up with blood on them and stuff. It don't just end at like Halloween, even how demonic that holiday can be. So it's a lot of things that happen. They try to put the stigma on us and what we listen to and what we do, and of course, all this is industry ain't even ran by us. The entertainment industry, it's people who are in have a lot of power, a
Preach.
lot of money, and they signal boost the bottom rungs of our society. That's all they're doing is signal boosting the bottom rungs of our society. And then you'll get a dumbass white supremacist or a dumbass tether say, yeah, that's black culture. And it's like, first of all, you're not black. You don't know what it is to be black. Your people never, ever, ever pushed blackness. The concept of it, you could never even understand. You can't comprehend it. You don't even believe in black greatness to even be talking about what black culture is. And then you're so stupid and see, they always talking out of both sides of their mouth. On one hand, they'll say, well, uh, black music is owned by blah, 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 blah. But this is black culture, like 2 minutes later. So they'll contradict themselves even in that argument. But this is just people will take the bottom rungs and signal boost it. And then you get dummies who want us to have humanity for them, but then they can't even see like we're being sabotaged, that the lowest representation of our people is being pushed up. And meanwhile, all the evidence of our greatness is right in front of them. First of all, music, the few things that we're allowed to be good at, it's not because that's what we're good at. It's literally because they can't live without it. And we do it at such a high level, they don't want to live in the world without us doing those things. We weren't allowed to play certain sports. And then when we showed up, we played at a higher level than they ever seen it be played. We played it with an artistry along with greatness. Same thing with music. When you listen to the cultural music of a lot of these people who have so much to say about us, that music is trash and it's unbearable to listen to most times. And it's been around for like 1,000 years. I mean, it's terrible. I ain't gonna name no names because there's too many examples to name. But these cats been, and then the Africanization. Don't even started on that. It's like, man, if I listen to y'all tribal music, that shit is so monotonous and it don't got much meaning. Forget about lyrics, if there are even if there are lyrics, but y'all ain't putting lyrics to it. And then it just drones on and on, and you can't get jiggy with that shit. You know what I'm saying? You really can't. You can't do nothing to it. It's like, what do you do to this low level banging on a drum? Really, no melody, just rhythm and beat, and then you're gonna say, "Oh, it all came from Africa." No, nigga, it did not. It did not. Your version of the blues, I don't even want to hear. I don't even want to hear your version of the blues or whatever. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start writing the blues. Every time a Chinaman slaps the shit out you, write a goddamn song and maybe put that to an Afro beats beat and maybe something dope will come out. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Did China man need me? I'm sorry. But nah. And then to money. We have all of these athletes, right? Who have you took like 10 celebrities, black celebrities, the highest paid ones. They could probably come up with about $2 billion, right? And they could make an entertainment hub combined with an app, agency, and all of that, and just shut shit down. They could really have a lot of ownership. People would literally go to them, and you would forget about the Netflix, the HBO Max, Disney, and all of that within a few years if it just was us unabated telling our real unadulterated stories with the highest talents that are out there, not based off of a look or politics, but just what we are best of our best, and we control it. And the money generated would be astronomical. But it's like you said, nobody wants to get with each other, or at least they don't. It's I got mine. It's a bunch of black islands that are clustered together but no connection. It's the dumbest shit ever. Nobody's putting their money together, and there's so much money that they all have, at least according to Forbes or what they tell others. And it's so nonsensical because so much could be had. They could even have more power in their own right and not have to answer. It's almost like they enjoy this system because they don't ever want to challenge it. The few that do, they allow them to suffer and be the sacrificial lamb, and they don't fight for him. You know, you look at Kaepernick and what happened with the NFL. It's like a lot of them cats just let him out to dry, and then even somebody like Jay Z, he got at that table and shit, had a little hat on or whatever, and all that, got a Roger Goodell and started smiling and cheesing, and here we are. And Kaepernick couldn't get a phone call, and we let the brother out
Wow.
to dry. You know what I'm saying? Before I land my plane, that's why to this day this is the most NFL I've watched in a very long time because I had to watch Kendrick Lamar represent our culture on the biggest stage. Do you know that that's the most of a game I've ever seen live since Kaepernick stopped
Wow.
playing? And that's real shit. I'm still on that. I'm still on that because I love what he did for our people. Unfortunately, Kaepernick is not Muhammad Ali. Um, and it may be another at least a lifetime before we get another one. But god damn it, man, it is good to still have the example and to still know that Muhammad Ali's he's still there haunting the greatness of every athlete that will never be number one on that list because Muhammad Ali on every single list still is number one greatest athlete of all time for the millennium, for the century, for the they still put him on those lists, and it's not even close. Second, third, fourth. That's what gets debated. It's like, oh, Michael Jordan, Babe Ruth, but it's never number one is always sewn up, and it's because of that sacrifice. And these cats, they don't want to be number one that bad because they damn sure ain't willing to do that to be there. And I land my plane.
Love it. Appreciate it. So we're gonna get a couple more speakers, and we're gonna go ahead and um, in the space. I'm not sure if Mecky God spoke. I saw you come up, Mecky God, but I'm not sure if you spoke already.
I
No,
think
no,
he
I hadn't
did.
said nothing yet, brother.
What'd you say?
No, I hadn't said anything yet. Hold on,
Oh,
hold
I'm
on.
sorry. I didn't know you had your hand up earlier. I thought you spoke, bro. Go ahead, and
No,
we'll go
no.
to KT.
Okay, good looking out, man. My name Michi, man. It's Michi,
Michi,
man. Yes,
Michi.
I'm Michi. Yeah. But man, to the space, I don't know if slavery hurt our self esteem, man. But I think for the most part, you know what I'm saying, it hurt our feelings a lot. I think we knew who we were and we could see it every day. It was proof. And when no white dudes doing none of the shit we was doing, so we was aware of, our strengths. We knew that. Our self esteem we had to play like our self esteem was low. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a flea circus almost. You kind of taught to only want to jump so high by just training that you get, but we kind of could always be aware of it. I think just more so hurt our feelings more just the shit we had to go through. And what I'm saying, it just made us kinder people, just kind of people we would want, what I'm saying, the rest of the world to be like. But to what y'all saying about music, I think you're right. The blast, bro, funny as hell. He had me rolling, man. But the whole shit with Jay-Z and the NFL, and you can kind of see how they've used our music on a low vibrational way to create, what I'm saying, something that's gonna be palatable to them. You know what I'm saying? That's where they vibrate at with the murder, the death, killing the babies and all the shit we talk about in rap music and have said and trying to be, clever, but I think Kendrick took it and turned it around and gave it another way of looking at it. It's like I'm going to point out how now that you actually do these things, you actually do something that's bad, what I'm saying, and you're doing some evil shit. We should, what I'm saying, turn it around and use it to show, okay, fine then. And I think that's the same whole reason why they do the critical race theory. Everything lead back to white people when it comes to me. I feel like most of the stuff, even with Michael Jordan, I feel like Jordan himself is just a product of what y'all was saying. He gonna be who he gonna be. But Jordan had opportunities, knew he had opportunities, and people came to him several different times. This is why when black people come up to him, he's like, "What you want, nigga? Like, what's up, nigga? Like, oh, here go this nigga." Because we coming, it's like Steve Harvey said, saying, "Oh, why y'all calling me talking about asking about reparations and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give her an underhand question or whatever fuck you said. Like, if that's the way you gonna do it, you know what I'm saying? Just do it like that, but it's just them trying to appease that master, you know what I'm saying? There's them letting their self-esteem ride low, even though they know otherwise, and they're hearing otherwise from their close family and friends and the people that should be close to them, but ain't close no more. And I feel like Jordan had the opportunity with Craig Hodges. Craig Hodges, our brother, he lost his job. He was the first Kaepernick, and he came to Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan during the finals when the Bulls won their first finals. Um, he said, look, we can come together and do some kind of little protest or make some kind of gesture to say, we're seeking social justice for Black Americans in this country. And, Craig Hodges lost his whole NBA career when he gave his letter to George H.W. Bush, the president at the time, when the Bulls went to go be, honored at the White House for winning the championship. He gave him the letter, not physically, but H.W. received the letter and this is fucking make he easily create the CIA, so we don't expect nothing from him. But we do understand that what I'm saying this is the most high telling Pharaoh, hey, let my motherfucking people go. And some people come with that message. And he came to Jordan and Magic about it, and they was pretty much like, yo, look, man, we ain't trying to get
Mecca, we're gonna. I appreciate your submission. We're gonna go ahead and give KT last words.
word.
Appreciate you, KT. What's on your mind? You got last words, love.
A good night to you all. Thank you, Professor, for having me in the panel to speak. Um, I really quick, I wanted to also thank you both. Shout out to Sister Wani, and Sister Nikki. I don't see her, but I wanted to thank you all for having these spaces and your scholarship to help me personally understand more of my history. And I'm just really grateful. I wanted to answer because of my own experience. Can you all hear me?
Oh yeah, I hear you just
Yes.
fine. Yes.
Okay. I wanted to speak for my personal experience that I do believe that slavery did hurt us because it, because of what I experienced with my family. We really don't want to talk about it. I've tried to talk about it multiple times. Like, our history really is here, and it's deep. It's a lot that we need to learn about, and there's a lot that we have to come together with. And my family is either saying we weren't slaves, or this part of the family wasn't slaves, or the only side that's really claiming that is my mother's side. And so it's really sad to come across the fact that it has hurt our self-esteem. Now, I cannot speak for the celeb part. What I can say from my personal experience, I used to perform for a corporate band. Excuse me. And most of you all know that corporate bands are either invited to private events or mostly wedding receptions. And for the corporate band that I performed for, our clientele were whites. And I had noticed too that they want, yeah, we like this song. We like Motown, but can you play Meg the Stallion? Or can you play Cardi B? Stuff like that. And so that had actually made me over time, because I haven't performed with them for 2 years, but that has made me over time to actually stop listening personally to a lot of these artists that I used to listen to when I was in high school and in college. So that's all I wanted to say. I'll end my plane.
Thank you for your submission. And it's a really good point that the dominant society is the one that's interested in debaucherous music. I mean, it's almost common sense when you think about it, because the dominant society has the money to support it. We have to never forget our brother David Banner. David Banner is a damn near genius. David Banner was getting his master's degree at University of Maryland. On the side, he was driving from DC to New York and auditioning for who he called the suits, the execs, for like over a year. David Banner, I'm paraphrasing him, of course, but David Banner basically said that um, the suits recognized his talent and they really wanted one. A&R really loved him and wanted him, and he sat David down and said, "Look, man, I love you. I want to sign you. I think you're gonna make money, but I got strict orders not to sign any black music that's positive." And David Banner said he went and wrote Like a Pimp. Just because of that, he was writing about God. He's writing gospel. They wouldn't sign it. He said he wrote Like a Pimp, and in the course of 24 hours, went from being homeless to a millionaire. So this is being perpetuated from the top, and our celebrities are being used to harm us. Where does this ideology come from? This comes from W. Du Bois's talented tenth, where we're going to have leaders and having one person on a pedestal. What we should keep in mind is a talented tenth does not work. What did work was Booker T. Washington's industrial education, where all the whole group is responsible for the whole group. So we need to somehow, nonviolently make our people responsible for the whole. We're responsible for each other, and the moment um, our celebrities or politicians or quote unquote talented tenth get out of line and make it all about them, like Steve Harvey did, we need some type of mechanism, in my opinion, to shame them. We need to bring shaming back. But that's just what I think. I enjoyed y'all. Uh, Nikki, you and Wani have last words.
Good
Good
night.
night. All right.
Love everybody.
All right.
Good night, Average. Good night, Professor. Good night, Wani, Michi, everybody in the space.
Oh yeah. I see
Fresh,
you down there. I see you
Arthur.
down there, Arthur. I hear you doing great things, bro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody follow Arthur Watkins. He's working for the people. Hi,
Oh
Mikhail.
What up,
yeah.
Mikhail? All right, guys. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
That wasn't Mikhail, that was me.
Oh,
Oh,
I just want to say hi to Arthur, and I appreciate him. And I'm starting this space right now on the heels of your space until Tariq starts. So from now until Tariq start,
all right.
okay.
average is gonna start his space.
Y'all jump in on average's space. All
Okay.
right, guys.